2022, the last one of the year. We'll do a roll call, starting with Mr. Weeks.
Here.
Mr. Levinson.
Present.
And the chair's here. So first item on the agenda is the approval of the November 15th minutes. Entertain a motion to that effect.
So move.
Second.
Okay, any changes or
Well,
corrections?
the only question I have
Yeah.
is, I know I discussed that you were going to get in touch with TD.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I didn't write it down when you said
Okay.
it. I have talked to TD.
Okay.
Yes,
That's all I,
yes. Yeah,
other than that, the minutes were fine.
okay.
Any changes, corrections, Dana?
No.
Okay, so I'm not sure it's worth or necessary to correct it, but we did discuss with Tom our interpretation of the bequest.
Okay. Do you want me to try to add something in?
No, I think it's fine. We may want to commit to writing in some way what our interpretation for the future or something if they ask. but
Okay.
I think this
Oh,
is,
when the first request comes in.
or when, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so I will call the question. We'll take it by roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, so we have two requests for disbursements. The first is the disbursement from the 400th Anniversary Trust. And
Judy, before we get into the discussion,
Yes?
can we get, I know you complied with everything. But in order to get the city clerk's authorization, we got 11 pages of documents. All we need is what we did back a few months ago, is a one-line thing from the city clerk saying, the council on such and such a date approved this.
Okay.
Let's go back to one of those, because we don't need to get,
The whole action sheet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we just want to make sure the council has authorized it. We don't need to read the whole council minutes.
You just want the page with the actions on it?
Or just a one-line thing from the city clerk that says,
Okay.
on such and such a date, the council voted to authorize the release by the trustees.
well, let's discuss that, because which is easier?
Making a copy of the page with the action on it.
But we got 11 pages, Judy.
No, I
But she
understand that. I
highlighted
can
the-
just,
but
I
she
can,
highlights the-
I can just take that one page with the highlight on it, if that's okay with you, because it does say the action sheet on the bottom and what the vote is on it.
Okay, as long as it's from the city clerk.
It's always from the city clerk.
Yeah, well, see, I think what you're asking,
Less
it's not bad,
paper.
but I think you're asking for extra work from the city clerk and from
Well,
Judy.
I'm just
Originally,
asking
what-
for what we voted.
Well, we just voted for written,
But this is different from what we've gotten in the last time.
Okay.
These
I'll have to-
11 pages are,
I'll have to go back and look. I think I just gave the one page on the action last time, or the meeting minutes were actually available, but the action sheet is the same as the meeting minutes. So let me look at it, and I'll try to cut the paper down.
yeah.
Okay?
well, so you gave us the trust document, right?
Right.
That was separate from what you got from the city clerk.
Correct.
Yeah, so just, Peter, so I had.
He had requested, you had requested.
I assume we all have copies of these trust documents because we distributed them before, but rather than
Yes.
having you have to go look it up in your files,
Yeah.
I had asked Judy on both of these trusts to give us the trust document
Yeah.
along with, the documents reflecting the city council's vote. So that's why it's 11 pages.
I can understand what you're saying, Peter, about, you got the whole meeting action
Yeah.
sheet.
I
Understood.
don't need that.
Understood.
I'd already watched it.
Understood.
In fact, in some of these, you were already there, weren't you?
Understood, not a problem.
Yeah, just my only thought on it is I just don't want to add extra work for you. So if the city clerk can give you a little certification of vote,
Yeah.
then that's fine. But I think if you have the actual record itself and highlight the part of it. Anything else about that?
No.
Do you have a feeling about that one way or another, Dana?
No, I'm fine, whichever is easiest for Judy to get us the authorization.
Okay.
No problem.
All right, so we have, let's start with the 400th anniversary. We have a request for disbursement for the remaining sums associated with the 101 Objects Book Legacy. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So move.
Sal, second.
Any discussion concerning that?
No.
All right,
My only
Eric?
question is,
Other than maybe the motion should include $7,500.
yeah,
Yeah, the actual request was the $7,500. Yep. Go ahead, Peter.
Judy, we got the invoice October 5th.
There was some, I didn't get anything from Valerie for a little bit. Then there was, Karen had to get it on the docket. The docket was full for November. It took a while to get it on the docket
Okay.
for the city
I
council.
just, that being a local business,
Yes. They've actually been paid. I think the 400th had some funds that they used. We're basically reimbursing the 400th so that business isn't out of pocket for a super long time. So it's actually, the check is made out to the Portsmouth, New Hampshire 400th for reimbursement for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions, Peter?
Yeah.
All right, we'll call the question. All in favor or opposed? Peter?
yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, the second request is the request to disperse $21,100 from the Public Arts Trust. What's the matter?
He's laughing at Peter and his pen.
TD Bank's pen doesn't work.
That's a trick pen. Do you need a pen?
No.
Good.
To disperse those monies to the 400th anniversary
No, the Public Arts
Inc.,
Trust.
yeah, toward the cost associated with erecting a structure at Bohanko Gateway Park, a piece of art. Do I hear a motion concerning that request?
So who's the check going to be made out to?
City of Portsmouth.
So it's going to be made out to the city of Portsmouth? Mm-hmm. I missed that. What's the thinking behind that?
I was asked to make the check out to the City of Portsmouth.
But
It's towards sculptures for the park. I think that they're collecting the funds. I don't think that they have an invoice that they, I don't know. I mean,
All right, so where are they going to put the funds?
well,
I'm sorry,
Do you know the answer to this, or?
no, I don't. And I mean, I have no problem. Is this still part of the bond issue?
it's nothing to do with the bond.
Well, it says money left from the Foundry Garage.
Right, but what happened is that the City of Portsmouth allocated $150,000 and put it into the Public Arts Trust for artwork at the Foundry Garage.
Right.
We did not use, the city did not use all of that money, and the remainder of the funds that's been sitting in the trust was $21,100. So Karen went to the city council and asked to reallocate those funds for artwork at the Foundry Garage for artwork that's going to go into the Bohenko Sculpture Garden.
Yeah.
And they approved that. So it's just basically reallocating the money that was originally for Foundry artwork that we didn't use all the money for, now to be used for
But
artwork at the,
Where is that money sitting?
I don't know.
Which money?
Well, whatever's, the Foundry Garage artwork money.
Was sitting, the
It's in the
150
public
was
art
sitting in the
trust.
Public Arts Trust, correct. And now what they're going to do is they want to use the remaining money that was in the Public Arts Trust for the Bohenko Gardens, which I guess they have items ready to go or whatever for.
They have an RFP out too.
I think it's part of the 400th anniversary projects.
Yeah,
Well, yes, Dana, but I don't think it's, that's one of the projects I think that the 400th is taking under their wing. Is
yeah, it's, by way of disclosure, I'm not part of the 400th, but I'm on the selection committee for the piece of art itself. I'm not involved with the fundraising or how it's paid, or all the rest of that, the logistics of it. But I'm pretty sure that the city council voted to give the 400th nonprofit, the 501c, the authority to make the decision on the art and make arrangements once that decision is made to see that it is made and installed. And so
I think I'd feel better if we were paying an invoice for the piece of the art.
what I don't understand is if the city collects this money now, the art won't be installed until some point in '23. Why? What does the city do with it? Holds it over in another hand?
There must be some kind of an allocation account that's sitting there
Yeah.
for it. I mean, I don't think the city manager would just ask for it and put it into a general fund.
Well, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Peter, I'm sorry, I didn't.
What, I think I'd feel more comfortable. I mean, nothing's being, we're not holding anything up. Because we don't even know what it's going to be used for.
I can see if the city manager is in. She told me that she was going to be in this morning. She said if you need anything, let her know. So, I mean, I can see if the city manager's in, if you want her to see if she can come down.
All right, well, so, did you have any questions about this request, Dana?
No, I'm fine with it. My question is, who do we write the check to?
Yeah.
Well, and that's Peter's question. I totally agree with it. The second question,
I would have assumed it was the 400th organization, anniversary organization.
and that's what I understood as well, to be used toward the city vote doesn't say. Yeah, there's another glitch that I wanted to discuss today, and I don't have an answer to it. On the, where is it, the use, there's a provision in the, in the ordinance. So this, so when I looked at the trust document, it said that the funds are to be used and dispersed in accordance with the public arts ordinance. That's the one that says that, like 1% or 1.5% of any project is set aside for art, any public project. And the expenditures of public art funds says that no less than 90% of the principal amount of public art contribution generated by any particular building project shall be expended on the site of that project. the amount that was distributed or was allocated was 150,000. The request is more than 10%. And so the question is, it seems to be contrary to the ordinance.
Okay.
Did you follow me on that, Dana?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
I was just looking at these things last night, and that's why I didn't have a chance to circulate anything, but,
Let me go see if Karen's here.
yeah. And if she's around and if Susan's around, maybe,
Susan's not here. The
Okay.
legal department has a lot of sickness through it. She's out for the week.
They've left.
I didn't hear what you said. They're sick, or are they just on vacation?
Oh, what would, I guess, Tom, what was it, 1.5% of the project allocation for art?
1%.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think there also is a maximum of 150,000.
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense.
The same thing's going to come up with the sewage treatment plant.
Well, that should have come up already by now, right?
Well, they must be holding that or something.
Well, if they're holding it, they're supposed to put it into this arts trust, but.
How's everything in Florida, Dana?
Good, we're gonna get a good cold spell this weekend.
Are you down? When are you coming back?
I'm gonna be here for most of the winter now.
Oh, Franco Harris died this morning.
No, no kidding.
Really?
That one's up there.
All right.
I would be okay. I mean, the motion that he voted on was for a reallocation of those funds, so it was a council action.
Yeah, no, the only reason I even bring it up at all is because it's in an ordinance. Now, you know, the ordinance is the one that says that no less than 90% is supposed to be used in the arts project.
Nobody's up there?
Yeah, nobody's up there. It's 10 of 8. Nobody's up there yet. So,
Tom, I would, since there's really no reason anybody waiting for the money, I'd move we postpone action until we get clarification, either from the manager or this attorney on both those issues, the ordinance and,
who to write to check out to?
yeah,
So it's essentially a motion to table the request until the January meeting, or?
Yes,
And hopefully we'll
that's
get.
fine.
Would you second that, Dana?
I'll second that, but I'm also okay if there's any urgency on getting these funds to do it, have another meeting via email or direct.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So I'll call the motion in a minute, but we'll table it until the January meeting unless we receive an indication that there's.
And I guess the other question needs to be answered. If that's what it's for, why isn't it made out to
Well, so
400?
that's the two questions, which is,
Yeah.
one.
The ordinance, question about the
And
ordinance,
then two,
who the check should be made
who the
out to.
check should be made out to. It does seem odd that the council would approve. It makes sense for them to approve using these funds for Bohanko Park, What doesn't make sense is to have the funds dispersed to the city before the actual expenditures are necessary. So, all right. All in favor of that motion, starting with Peter?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Hey, Tom?
Yep.
What did you, are you on the art committee for this park?
Well, the Portsmouth 400 has a legacy committee, and one of their legacy projects is to create at least the initial, it could be more, but it's likely going to be the initial major piece of art in Bohenko Park, which is connected to the 400th anniversary.
Right.
So that Portsmouth 400 asked 6 or 7 people to serve on a review and selection committee that is limited to that function, and I'm one of them. So
Now, are you on the legacy committee?
no, I'm on what it's just the sculpture.
Just the selection committee?
That's right.
Well, then,
Okay.
So-
Make a good choice.
yeah.
We're trying to. And so we're not, this committee is not actually involved in the fundraising component, nor anything really having to do with the, larger anniversary project or its implementations or anything of that nature, so.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Okay. Scholarships.
Yes. What I put together for you is a draft. We usually vote in January, or you usually vote in January for the scholarships to be distributed.
Yep.
So I revamped a little bit the schedule, and I wanted to talk about it beforehand so that you're just not getting it right at the time that you want to vote. And if there's things that you want to see on this or change on this, or additional information that you need in order to make an informed decision, then I wanted to do that. So basically what you have is, the very first column is the book value of the funds. The second column is the total percentage of what that particular trust holds in the overall pool. And then the third column is what the current fair market value of the fund is as of November.
Okay.
And you can see, if you look down at the very bottom, the fair market value in November is down 3.5% to the book fund value back in June, which we know because it's been a volatile market. We knew that it was down. So right now, it's currently 3.5% below the book value. The fourth column is the column that is filed with the MS9, which shows income available to spend. That column that they look at, it's not the principal, it's just some available income. It's gains and losses, it's donations that have come in, it's all of those things that are sitting in the pool that sits in a certain column. Kind of more for me than for you, but wanted to put it on there.
And that's as of what date? As at the end of November?
June.
Oh,
That's as
okay.
of June, because
All right.
that's when we
Yep.
file, yeah.
Okay.
And then the next column is what was awarded in fiscal year '22, so that you can see what was given out last year. And then I did in the next column a rough suggested June 2023. It did not, if you look at the bottom line numbers, those numbers have not gone up a lot, but again, the value of the stocks and the fair market value and everything is kind of iffy, so I didn't know if you wanted to spend more. I mean, looking at it, we can look at it, and if there are certain ones that you want to increase. Anything in that column that's got in yellow is a set amount per the trust.
Okay.
So, like Carrie McHale, that one, which is the second yellow one that says 7,000, That is spending out. The Attorney General, they met with the Attorney General, they're spending down that trust to close it out. So what's currently available is $7,000. We don't want to spend any more of that. We have a few outlying scholarships that haven't come in yet from 2022, so I don't want to say 10,000 and then have all of a sudden be 3,000 short. I've taken that into consideration when we've looked at that.
Well, going back to column 4.
Yes.
What's the difference between the items that are in black ink and the items that are in blue ink?
Everything in blue ink, those amounts are set.
Okay,
So,
all right.
I
So those
wanted.
correspond to the
Right,
yellow.
I
Okay.
wanted to just have those stand out because those are set per the trust on the amounts to be given out.
Okay, so will you update this as of the end of December?
I will, so
Okay.
that we'll know what the fair market value is
Right.
at the end of this December. Again, this is a draft, I just wanted to throw it out, see if there is something additional that you wanted or more information that you might want before
Okay.
you make your vote in January.
But your recommendations will probably not change?
They probably won't. I can't imagine that they would unless there was something severely drastic that would happen. But, I mean, as far as I know, I mean, looking at November's numbers, they've actually come up a smidge. So I would think that they'd be pretty close to the same, but I will review them before I come in.
Okay.
Again,
Right.
same idea. I don't want to recommend something and knowing that the numbers have shifted.
Judy, on the VFW,
Yeah.
What is the highest percent that we've allocated within the past couple of years? Do you happen to know?
Last year was 2.02.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, I think the year before was in the 2 range. I think the absolute highest one year, but it was when the funds had a lower overall amount, was closer to 3 point something, but we've never gone, I think the deal has been we'd never go above 4, and I don't know where that number comes from, but that seems to be what I've seen in Peter Torrey's old notes. So I think, my impression's always been that you want to give a good return out, but you want to be fiscally responsible at the same time, so. Peter, did you have a question?
yeah, the VFW,
Yes,
I remember Josh Denton came and,
he did.
did that start at 75,000? Oh, no, 50,000?
Yes. Yes. We also had a payout.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Yeah. But I say that, but they gave me $1,000 for that payout for the first year. So what you're seeing reflected there is the 50,000 that's lost ground a little bit for right now.
So in the first column, the light blue,
Yes.
those are,
Those, everything that's light blue is I've highlighted those because those have a set amount that's awarded per the trust. So the trust says you will give out $1,000 per year. So I wanted to highlight those because that's not something that can be adjusted. That's per the trust.
well, okay, and Tony Ron we amended that to be able to cash it out.
Exactly. So Tony, exactly, Peter. Up to $10,000 per the Attorney General's office until it becomes less, and then you just would sunset it out. Same thing with the Kale Scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions of Judy?
No?
Any questions, Dana?
No?
All right, so this will be in the agenda for the January meeting.
Yes, it will.
My guess is at that meeting, we'll probably again discuss what kind of notice the school department is giving out to
Yes.
non-high school.
Yes.
Would you take an opportunity to reach out to
I will.
just to
Yes.
remind them?
I will.
Okay. All right. the TD Wealth Management reports or summaries. You'll notice that Judy has been kind enough to give us her summaries in advance, so I assume.
For a request of the two of you. Yes.
And still nothing from TD.
No, I did speak with John DeQuattro last week. He said that Suzanne is now working on that, and they are in process of developing something for you. He said he hopes that maybe it would come out with the December, but he can't speak for her on that. But they actually are working on it. They got the go-ahead from whoever they needed, and they're putting something together. So we'll have to wait and see what they come up with. But again, I had sent him like 2 months ago.
No, that's.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
anxiously looking forward.
So that's the feedback on the dashboard on TV.
Well, it's December is not going to be good.
No.
Unless we have a big rally in the last week of the month.
It's going to be a Santa Claus rally this
No,
year.
I don't think so either. I mean, when I was looking at these, I actually was playing around with my calculator with the actual reports, and I'm thinking, geez, we're actually, recouped a lot of that lost territory, but certainly not end of last week and this week.
No.
Any questions for Judy about the reports, or any
Nope.
comments on the TD statements? Anything,
Yep.
Dana?
No?
Okay. All right.
I have 5 scholarship checks for signature. Got my pen, Peter, you think you're good?
Oh, I'm going to try this. That'd be you.
Judy, are you still getting any donations on the website?
Not too many now. It's kind of slowed down, yeah.
Hey, Tom,
Yep.
do you happen to know what the financial arrangement is between the 400th anniversary leadership or group and the Bohenko Art Group?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
So I guess my question is the funding for the art coming through the 400th anniversary fundraising, or is the art group independent of that on the funding?
I'm not, it's the term art group that I'm puzzled by, but let me try to answer this and see if it, so the initial piece of public art to go into Bohenko, what is now going to be called Bohenko Gateway Sculpture Park, with potentially up to 7 or 8 pieces installed over a period of time. The initial piece, the city council has what I want to say, designated the 400th, the 501c3 nonprofit 400th, to make that choice. And in that, and the 501c3 is raising the money to cover the cost of that piece. And so that's why when I first read the request that we had today, I was of the assumption that we were going to write a check out to the 400th.
Right.
And because they're out there raising monies to cover that cost.
And maybe I misunderstood, too. I mean, no one,
It's the ambiguity that's caused us to not
Okay.
know what we wanted, what
Yeah.
we're supposed to do here today. So it's the 400th anniversary 501c3 that is in charge of the, creating a legacy piece in the park and raising the money to pay for it.
Okay.
And what's their goal?
That's the way I thought it was.
Yeah. And so, obviously, whatever arrangement is done, the final arrangement will have to involve the city because it's city land, but I believe it's up to the 400th group to raise the funds, and I know they're out there doing that. The RFP called for $200,000.
200,000?
Yeah.
And for one piece?
Well, it was drafted in a fashion that allocated $200,000 toward one or more pieces.
Wow.
These things are not inexpensive.
no.
But it is, I can't talk about what we've received, but it would be possible to have more than one, or it could be settled on one.
I can't remember how much Michael Warhorse's sculpture was, but it was significant.
It was significant.
Yeah, it was,
75,000, I think.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
significant.
and that was for a piece that had already been made, I think.
Dana, we're getting down to the 2-minute mark, so I can start the other one if you want, or up to you guys what you want to do.
Well, any further questions about that, Dana?
No, that's good.
Okay. And so I think what you're referring to as the art group is what I'm calling a selection committee. And it's just reviewing and making a selection, a recommendation on what artist design to use. Okay, any new business? All right, nobody in the public to make comments, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous.
Dana, are you Zooming next month as well?